Well, hello. Bill Gibbons Crypto Hunt here after a very long delay in posting on this channel. I really must apologize for that, but for the second part of last year, I had some very serious health issues to work through, and this included a period of hospitalization. I can tell you it really does suck growing old. Having said that, I'm back to health and active again, and looking forward to posting more presentations on this channel. To bring you up to date with a few things, there have been 3 Mokele-mbembe expeditions that 2 have already been last year, and 1 is currently underway. I'll bring you updates on those very shortly. The other news is I'm definitely heading back to Lake Okanagan in British Columbia this year for another crack at the Ogopogo mystery with my fellow researcher Bill Stasic, who lives in Kelowna, and we will have some top-notch equipment there. We will have a waterproof drone with a 4K camera and also a Titan ROV that dives down to 150 meters. We'll be using that at a place called Rattlesnake Island that you can see here. And Rattlesnake Island is allegedly the home of some of these creatures as they dwell in the caves underwater, and we'll be using the ROV to explore that area. Apart from some hydrophonic equipment, we anticipate an excellent expedition this year and hopefully to bring you some good results. Regarding the Mokele-mbembe expeditions, I'll be providing you with a full update on those. But the video I really wanted to post over the past few months has been the mystery primates of Cameroon, and we're going to continue with that one. And the Mokele-mbembe updates will be coming in a new presentation fairly soon. You will notice I've been using AI quite frequently for most of the images. This is simply because I do not want any more copyright strikes on my channel. So thank you to my subscribers and my Patreon members. By the way, Patreon members, please send me your addresses straight away, as I have books and t-shirts to send you immediately. So thank you again for your patience. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so already. And let's get on now with the mystery primates of Cameroon. According to the Baka people of southeast Cameroon, a terror that walks on 2 legs dwells in the shadows of the forest there. Known as the Dode or Dodu, this strange creature is described as a tall, powerful primate with bizarre physical features. The Dodu is also said to be the natural enemy of the gorillas and chimpanzees that live in the same area. During our numerous information-gathering expeditions to southern Cameroon, close to the border with the Congo Republic, my fellow explorers and I were accompanied by our Cameroonian friend and translator, Pierre Sima, who greatly assisted us as we sought out information on the fabled Mokele-mbembe and other mystery animals that were reputed to live in that area. We took with us a flip chart of living and extinct animals, including North American animals such as the bear, the moose, and the beaver, among others. The Baka people know every plant, every insect, every reptile, and every mammal that lives in the forest, including other creatures that dwell in the swamps and the rivers. They quickly dismissed our images of North American animals, which were completely unfamiliar to them. However, one image in particular drew gasps as the Baka elders pointed excitedly to it. They explained to Pierre that a dangerous primate known to them as the Dodu lives in the forest. They describe it as uniformly grey, sometimes dark brown in colour, and stands around 6 feet or more in height, and is mostly bipedal, but will sometimes knuckle walk on all 4s, like the gorilla or the chimpanzee. This is the image that provoked such excitement among the Baka. It is an artist's impression of a mystery primate known as the Kalanuru, reported to live in Madagascar, and can be found on page 107 of the Field Guide to Bigfoot, Yeti and Other Mystery Primates Worldwide by Lauren Coleman and Patrick Hugh. The many excellent illustrations within were provided by the artist Harry Trumbore. The many bizarre features of the dodo include only 3 fingers on each hand and just 3 clawed toes on each foot. The 3-toed feet provide an interesting parallel to the 3-toed Bigfoot or Sasquatch footprints that have been found in North America, like this 1974 plaster cast made at Big Rock Creek in the Angeles National Forest in California. Sometimes a row of odd spikes was described running the length of the dodo's back, and its eyes possessed vertical pupils, similar to a cat. Highly aggressive, a dodo will attack gorillas and chimpanzees on sight, which sometimes results in other primates fleeing from the dodo or being killed by it. One such battle was observed by a plantation owner by the name of Filbert, who welcomed us to stay overnight at his plantation located on the banks of the Boomba River. One day, when hunting in the forest, Filbert was attracted by a loud sound of fighting beasts. As he approached the source of the disturbance, he was shocked to see a male gorilla engaged in a ferocious battle with a large, strange-looking ape. The sheer ferocity of the combat between these 2 powerful primates caused Filbert to flee in terror, lest he too become a victim of this bizarre and aggressive creature. He later learned from the baka that he observed a dodo. The dodo also has an unusual dietary predilection. After killing a forest animal, it will leave the carcass to decompose and fill with maggots. It will later return to scoop up the grubs and eat them with relish. Chimpanzees often use a twig or stick to snag termites to eat, so this dietary preference is not unknown among some primates. The dodo is also known for leaving piles of sticks on the forest floor, which may be a form of territorial marking behavior, like the Bigfoot or Sasquatch of the North American continent. I returned to Cameroon in 2001 with John Kirk, Robert Mullen and the late Scott Norman. A British film production crew joined us with the intent of making a documentary on the search for the Mokele-mbembe. After we'd set up camp on the banks of the Boomba River, outside the town of Malundu, John began to show an assembled crowd of curious onlookers animal illustrations in a flip folder. Several people in the crowd instantly recognized the artist's illustration of the Kalanuru. A young Cameroonian who spoke very good English explained that a few months before our arrival, a group of white men, accompanied by native trackers, had captured a young dodo, which was seen by many residents of the town. Its captors were possibly loggers on a hunting trip. The dodo was tied firmly to a pole by its arms and legs, and attracted a sizable crowd that became frightened by its mournful wails. In November 2000, I visited this area with David Wetzel from Concord, New Hampshire. A similar account of the dodo was given to us by Timbo Robert and his fellow hunters from the Baka settlement of Wilili. Its color varied from gray to dark brown. Its face was described as a cross between a chimpanzee and a baka. A row of quills ran down its back. It had long head hair, and its eyes possessed unusual vertical pupils like a cat. What became of this captured young dodo is unknown as the hunters moved on with their prize. Perhaps they kept it as a pet of sorts in a remote logging camp, or perhaps they decided to release it unharmed. In any case, I hope it lived to adulthood back where it belonged, in its forest home. On the 2001 trip, our team was joined by 2 Baka elders called Rosé and Paul, who were very familiar with the dodo. Paul stated that his father had killed one of these strange primates with his elephant spear many years ago, and Rosé mentioned that whenever he and other Baka hunters observed dodos in the forest, that were sometimes observed in family groups, they would keep a safe distance from them. We later visited the village of Lengwe, located along a dirt road between the Bumba and the Jar rivers. Almost the entire village turned out to greet us, as white visitors were rare. After Pierre introduced us and explained our mission, John again opened the flip chart. As before, the villagers did not recognize any of the North American animals, but they recognized familiar African animals such as the elephant, hippo, crocodile, chimpanzee, and the gorilla. Once again, the entire village erupted into gasps and moans of fear when shown the illustration of the Kalanuru. The dodo was indeed known and feared by these forest people. In 2012, I returned for another expedition to Cameroon, this time with John Kirk, my younger son Andrew, and the French explorer Michel Ballot. We spent 2 days at the World Wildlife Fund camp at Ndongo, a full day's travel north on a dangerous jungle road across the Bumba River. Once again, the dodo was instantly recognized by the village inhabitants. It was here that we learned of a close encounter with a dodo involving a group of native forest workers who became aware that a huge dodo, at least 3 meters tall, was following them along a jungle trail. The giant primate suddenly grabbed one of the men and picked him up. It held the man aloft and examined him with some curiosity. The primate then dropped the man, who quickly fled in terror with his friends. We were inclined to look upon the reported size of the dodo as an exaggeration at the time, but many eyewitnesses insisted that adult dodos were sometimes taller than our colleague John Kirk, who is 6 feet 5 inches tall. Another witness was an elderly village woman who encountered a dodo when she was gathering herbs and edible plants from the forest. As she went about her work, the woman became aware of a dodo that was watching her from behind a tree. Badly frightened, she managed to make it back to the village safely, but the dodo continued to follow her from a distance right up to the edge of the forest. We also found that the dodo is well known among other tribal groups throughout this area, and is known as the Door and the Dangoma. Whatever the dodo is, despite its rampant hostility towards gorillas and chimpanzees, it appears to be much more curious about human beings and rarely harms them. Apart from its love of eating maggots, dodos will also raid cocoa plantations and consumes the cocoa pods. But what of the dodo's natural enemy, the gorilla? There are 4 known species of gorilla. These are the eastern lowland gorilla, the western lowland gorilla, the mountain gorilla, and the cross river gorilla. The largest of these is the eastern lowland gorilla. Males can weigh up to 460 pounds and in rare cases can reach a height of 6 feet 5 inches. They are found in the lowland tropical rainforest in the Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. In the last 50 years, its range has shrunk from over 8,000 square miles to about 4,500 square miles today, mainly due to deforestation, poaching, and civil wars. Fewer than 3,000 of these mighty primates exist today and are now regarded as critically endangered species. Incidentally, we were informed by multiple sources in Cameroon that the dodo is sometimes much bigger and bulkier than a gorilla. The Cross River gorilla is the biggest known primate found in the forest of Cameroon, numbering between a mere 250 to 300 individuals. They are scattered across the lowland forest areas of Cameroon and as far north as the Cameroon-Nigeria border. Although smaller than its larger cousin, the eastern lowland gorilla can still reach 5 feet 9 inches in height and weigh up to 440 pounds. Its range has also been greatly reduced by hunting and habitat destruction. Observations and encounters with the dodos put their range from the Lobeki and Sanga rivers in the east to the Jar River in the west. The dodo shares the same habitat and range of the cross-river gorillas and chimpanzees. Therefore, it is no surprise that conflict would be inevitable whenever they encounter one another. Seen here for the first time is two Barker drawings of a dodo in the dirt. Here we can see the deep barrel chest, the long head hair, and extremely long arms and short legs. Perhaps an exploration of the forests in southeast Cameroon, along with the deployment of hundreds of game cameras, might yield some fascinating results. The second mystery ape is widely known to the tribespeople in the southeast province of Cameroon, and is known as the sapala. Although not as bizarre as the dodo, the sapala is described as a giant chimpanzee, at least 2 meters or more in height, that walks upright like a human being, but sometimes drops to all fours like other chimps. The sapala is said to carry a large stick, which it uses as a weapon against other primates and to kill its prey. Its appearance is much like other chimpanzees, but its dark brown hair is said to be softer than other chimps, which implies that these animals have been hunted and killed before. A sapala was observed by our boatman Blaze in 2006 near the Enki Falls and the Upper Jar River. He observed it closely and described it as being very tall and walking upright. Is it possible that the sapala could be a mystery primate known as the billy ape? The billy apes, or Bondo mystery apes, were names given in 2003 to a purportedly new species of highly aggressive giant primate supposedly inhabiting the wetlands and savanna around the village of Billy in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The apes would often be observed walking on 2 legs and nested on the ground like gorillas, but their diet and general features were characteristic of chimpanzees. These unusual primates were once surrounded by mystery and legend. Locals claimed they could kill lions, interbreed with gorillas, stand on 2 legs, and were over 6 feet tall. Their footprints were also uncharacteristically large, at 14 inches in length. That's over 2 inches longer than gorilla footprints. They hunt in packs and display complex social interactions. DNA sequencing from hairs found in their nests revealed that they are not a new species. Instead, they belong to a relatively isolated population within a subspecies of the common chimpanzee. They are simply an unusual-looking group of chimps, but not a distinct species. In November 1996, a picture of an unusual ape being held at the Yaoundé City Zoo in Cameroon was taken by Peter Jenkins and Lisa Gadsby. The photograph was featured in the newsletter of the International Primate Protection League, or IPPL. This picture shows a possible hybrid primate with a wider face and a larger skull than that of a chimpanzee, but smaller than a gorilla. The creature possessed features that seem to belong to both the gorilla and the chimpanzee, although this is unlikely due to biological barriers. Some observers believe that this primate could well be a living specimen of the Mokele-mbembe, first reported in the mid-19th century. To date, no empirical evidence has been found to substantiate its existence. So the question is the sapala and the Mokele-mbembe one and the same? They are both very tall, reaching at least 6 feet in height, and both behave differently from the known species of chimpanzees. Only DNA testing will be able to solve this biological puzzle. There are 4 recognized subspecies of chimpanzee: the western chimpanzee found in West Africa, the Nigeria-Cameroon chimpanzee found only in Nigeria and Cameroon, and the central chimpanzee, which is found in Cameroon and the Congo Basin. The largest chimpanzees out of these can grow up to 5 feet 5 inches in height and weigh up to 150 pounds. Still far short of the 2-meter-plus sapala of the forest of southeast Cameroon and the billy apes of northeast Congo. It's estimated that there are between 170,000 and 300,000 chimpanzees living in the wild. However, this number is continually declining, and as such, they are classified as an endangered species. Interestingly, another unusual spiked primate was reported in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The following account was published in Philip Coudre's self-illustrated book, published in 2009. An anonymous member of the United States Navy's Special Forces claimed that during a mission to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, sometime between 1997 and 2002, the unit encountered 13 bipedal chimpanzees that were attempting to kill another animal. Standing 4.5 to 5 feet in height, they were uniformly grey in colour, but by far their most distinctive feature was the series of spines running down their backs, which stood erect like porcupine quills whenever the apes became agitated. Coudre also stated that the team actually shot 3 minutes of video film of these extraordinary primates, but the film remains classified. The precise location of this sighting is unknown, but thought perhaps close to the border with Tanzania. Only a thorough exploration of the remote and dense forests of southern Cameroon and the Democratic Republic of the Congo on the border with Tanzania might eventually solve the mystery of these strange primates. Coming up soon on the Crypto Hunt channel, an update on 3 expeditions to Cameroon in search of the Mokele-mbembe, and new presentations will include giant snakes worldwide, is the Megalania priscus, and even a modern-day relative of the mighty T-Rex still stalking the vast outback of Australia. These presentations and much more are coming to the Crypto Hunt channel in the next few months. So thank you again so much for your patience and for watching, and I welcome your comments below. Until then, bye for now.